I'm so sorry. Wow, you're
Now this room ends up having 5 volumes. And that's fine. It's fine. I have no problems. But when you pass around messages, it just sends out the message.
So the past after day 1 and day 2, we both have to do She had to attend the session. I had to do I did not complete the
Nobody completed. And you know, we were so much in sync. We were so much in sync. If I know she's would you like to start?
Yeah, ladies, please settle down. You all can have a session. Come.
Hello.
Nice question.
Thank you.
We could, rather, I could relate to what you felt. At times, we have all those things.
Yeah, I was able to see the gals who came up quite a bit.
Because we women,
हम ऐसा कर रहे हैं सुनो भाई अगर हम यहाँ टेबल के आसपास कर रहे हैं because बहुत कम लोग तो will you turn the camera around? Yeah, I'm telling you. Will you turn the camera around? Okay. Who all would like to sit for this session? What is the topic? It is grid, mini grid or no grid electrification for developing countries. Because then, if you are very few people, we would like to do a round table. Then we don't want to do a room. Would you like to come up, join us? Yeah. Grid, mini grid, or no grid electrification for
What does that mean? नहीं आप अपना कैमरा बंद करके
हल्का सा घुमा लो बस
क्योंकि ज़्यादा लोग नहीं नहीं कल भी किया था तो प्रॉब्लम
जैसे आपको वैसे करता हूँ
Because at the end of the day, even if it's 2 people, I'll still walk away with so much knowledge.
I know.
So,
and it's easy to talk.
It's easy to talk, more personal.
yes.
Okay.
Please join in.
Join in if anybody would like to.
wait
Nice meeting you.
I'll just show you my screen.
क्या होता है कुछ We don't need the mic.
एक one bottle.
Would you need the mic आपके कैमरे के लिए?
Yes.
है ना? Okay, wait. Use for the camera, yeah. Because otherwise. Okay, join in.
Come.
This is about traveling, how traveling helps in
No, that's next.
that's next. Okay.
I think that's next. One second, let me just confirm with you.
Because you're running.
हाँ मैंने नहीं किया था. Actually वो जाएगी नहीं.
No, we know. This is supposed to be at 3:30. Oh, this is at 3:30. Oh, okay.
एक one bottle ले दे बेटा.
Okay, start कर दो.
Sweet. पहले कौन बोलेगा आप
ये नहीं यही है main speaker.
ओके
So we have Gamuchirai Mutezo from South Africa. She'll be speaking on grid, mini grid or no grid electrification for developing countries. Over to you. Want to join us?
No, I'm just going to 7.
Oh, you're going to say, okay. So fine.
Awesome. Firstly, thank you so much.
Excuse me. For a face you turn.
I want you to come.
Yes.
It's fine.
So, yeah, just want to thank you so much for this platform. Although we are very few, but I'm sure it will still be really interactive and we'll take it up from there. I'll just start off with a brief introduction of who I am and why I chose this topic as a topic of discussion. So, I'm an urban planner by training, and once I completed my honors, which was looking at environmental planning, how are cities, especially in developing countries, growing in such a way that you're cognizant of the environment. So when you move around in some African cities, it's building after building after building, but you tend to see very limited land parcels for urban agriculture, for urban land, so that the city can breathe. So these are some principles that are coming through from the developed nations saying that, hey, we need to become more resilient, climate change is an important thing to consider, find mitigation methods and so forth. And I wanted to pursue my master's in environmental planning, but it wasn't something that was offered in South Africa at that time. And the decision was, do I stay and pursue something different, or do I go abroad? I'm quite an Afrocentric person. I love being in developing countries. I think that's where my resources and my skills can certainly be capitalized. So I just decided to stay. At that time, I got a job in Cape Town. Everyone here must visit Cape Town at some point in their lives.
I did. I did.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I would love to.
It's such a beautiful
place.
So each and every city in Africa, in South Africa, has got its own unique beauty about
Yeah,
it.
I've been to Joburg, Durban,
Yeah.
Cape Town.
Okay, no, that's great. At least you were able to relate even
Yeah.
greater in detail. So I moved to Cape Town, and there I worked as a development economist. I loved my job, but a part of me still a bit of an academic. I love learning, and it's not restricted to books. So me being here is already like a great platform to learn. Hence I said, if we fall, that's totally fine. I still get to learn. And I then saw a program at the University of Cape Town, which was looking at energy and development studies. I'm like, right, if I can't find environmental planning, I can work with energy, because energy is something that is constantly on the table, private sector, public sector, small entrepreneurs, you name it. When I got into the program, I became more familiar, always, but I became more familiar with resources such as solar, wind, hydrothermal, biomass, but I fell in love with waste to energy technologies. I kid you not. I always tell people that if waste to energy was a man, I would be married with 7 kids by now. It's such a pity, it's an inanimate thing, but I really just fell in love with it. I thought, wow, I as an urban planner, we get different specializations, right? I as an urban planner, whether I'm looking at it from a transport perspective, a waste perspective, or a land use perspective, I can influence the way in which towns and cities grow. As we continue this conversation, words such as rapid urbanization start to pop up. Proliferation of service delivery, inability to deliver adequate services. So population is growing in urban areas, yet the service delivery is not growing at the same rate. What do we as built environment practitioners need to start to conscientize ourselves, right? And one of those things is off-grid renewable energy. So traditionally, it's relatively expensive for grid connectivity. It's not every city that's designed to accommodate a very large number of people. So if you have too many people, depending on the grid, it will come with its challenges. And the demand will not be able to meet supply. You know, the whole aspects of the economics of it still also apply in this regard. So the more I delved into this waste to energy system and understanding anaerobic digestion, understanding technologies such as pyrolysis, using that technology to address plastics, understanding gasification, I was like, wow, this is so exciting. In the same period, I had a few opportunities to travel to Malaysia, Germany, France, Netherlands, just to also understand the technologies that they were using. And in all sincerity, I absolutely respect what the Europeans have done in this space. However, one cannot copycat. Our contexts are completely different, and even looking at something as simple as social cultural dynamics, they can influence whether you uptake it or we don't uptake it. But Malaysia for me was one of those countries where I just grew a deeper respect for waste to energy technologies, for solar home systems and so forth. When this opportunity came through to participate in WEF, I thought this would be an interesting topic to discuss, because India is also seen, especially from the side I'm coming from, it's seen as a powerhouse when it comes to solar. And we can definitely relate in that regard because we've got solar for days. I suppose it will just depend on which part of the continent you are, but most of the time it's relatively sunny. You cannot say, today I'm freezing for the next 6 months or anything like that. And that was the birth of this topic. Right. Given all these intricacies that we're facing, physically, spatially, metropolitanically, for lack of a better word, how then, not just as built environment practitioners, but in the work that we do, because you also have policymakers who get involved in deciding certain policies, you've got politicians, you've got social entrepreneurs who have activities that are taking place in the cities, how then can we start having this conversation to promote more of off-grid renewable energy instead of just allowing cities to grow, allowing the demand and the supply to completely differentiate and waiting for grid? What can we do in the meantime to address those aspects? So at least that's just one issue of urban and energy planning that we can work towards dealing, while others look at other aspects such as transportation planning or urban agriculture, mitigation, and so forth. And that's the basis for this discussion. So, right, instead of having a PowerPoint and taking you through a whole lot of facts and... Yes, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you said India was in the same this thing, planning how to we could do it. But we know India, there is a microgrid thing projects which are coming up, even solar projects. What happens in both the cases, in the microgrid and the solar also, you know, the infrastructural cost, like the solar panel and all, involves a lot of cost.
Yes.
So people just don't want to go in for it because it involves a heavy cost.
Yes.
And the solar panels, the sun is there, you are right, everything is there, but the whole infrastructure which goes into it is a bit costly, and it doesn't become, you know, it takes a long time that people can think, yes, the cost will be divided in so many years, and all that thought process doesn't come in Indian mindset. As regards microgrid, again the same thing, you know, to make the project self-sustainable, whichever person wants to invest in it, if you ask if the person, like if I'm having a social project, I want to take it to the villages, you know, and where there's no electricity, and we can have electricity through this microgrid or no grid, whatever it is, you know, there was, but then nobody wants to invest unless and until it is sustainable.
Yes.
And the cost is so heavy. For it to become sustainable, again, villages may not pay for, even if you have a monthly charge for microgrid. You know, we tried working out that also.
Yeah.
But, you know, the people will not pay, so the things will not become sustainable, and the returns will not come in small amounts also, so no person is going to invest in it.
Yeah.
So that is why it's taking a very long time for solar, though there are solar things and panels and all, and some places the government has made a dent and is promoting it and giving some subsidy in solar, but microgrid is still going to take a long time to come.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Just yesterday I met with a gentleman from the UNDP. He works under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energies, and he was sharing his experiences because he's been with the department for a while. His experiences in terms of the solar water heating program. One of the key challenges that he mentioned was perception as well as understanding exactly the benefits that I'll be able to save. So right now I've got an electric geyser in my house and then it bursts. I'm a middle income person, right? What does it take to convince me to adopt a solar water heater if I'm going to pay extra? So the argument was that, okay, solar costs have reduced across all the applications have reduced, but they're not to that extent where it's mass consumption. And one kind of looks at India simply because, I don't want to say it's the less evil of adoption, but let me try and rephrase it in such a way that at least there's a bit more traction happening, right? So in Africa, we've got East Africa that's a solar giant, solar consumer mostly. So Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, you're looking at solar home systems, solar water heaters, still something that's coming up. And they are more consumers than they are manufacturers. And it's also my understanding that in India as well, you find quite a few manufacturers, so it's locally manufactured and locally consumed despite importing one or two components of these systems. So a question I'd like to ask all of you, we can take the mic around, right, so that we can expand this even more, is what are some of the cities that you've traveled to in the past 3-5 years, not just in India, but abroad? And when you travel to these cities, right, what was your experience of the availability of electricity/energy? Because from there, then we can start unpacking it and saying, right, if we compare New Delhi to Lusaka in Zambia, or if we compare Mumbai to Chennai, then we start unpacking to see whether solar is an issue in one city, or is it an issue in another city, or maybe wind is also considered. Small-scale wind projects are also considered. And that way, we can unpack it even further to school me as a planner, say, okay, Gamu, when you go back, these are the aspects that you need to look at. And also, as you remain behind, these are the aspects you also start unpacking.
In India, I have last couple of years traveled to Bangalore, Chennai, Calcutta, and Mumbai. Okay. And abroad, I went to Paris, Atlanta in US, San Francisco, and Amsterdam. Now, okay, let's take India first. In terms of consumption of electricity, that's what you'd like to know. Now, out of all the cities, I found Bangalore as a place which is extremely conscious of the consumption of electricity. Very conscious. Not just electricity, also very sustainable. Use of plastic, for instance. Okay, they would make sure that plastic is absolutely banned. Okay, in most places. Organic consumption, organic food consumption is far more than I have seen in any other city in the country, in Bangalore. People are very, very conscious, and in fact people have started doing something called it's like water produce. You produce plants through water, which is vertical, and so you don't need land. So you go this way for your plants, so you can grow 10 different things like this in a small piece of, even in your balcony. So I found that very, very kind of advanced in Bangalore, and there are people, there's a community which have come together in Bangalore who have stopped using any kind of transport, including cars, two-wheelers or three-wheelers, and they're all cycling because they don't want to leave any carbon blueprints. And then they have also getting into second-hand clothing. So if something is not worn beyond more than 1 month or 2 months or a year maybe, people don't mind, sharing. So in that respect, out of all the cities in the country, Bangalore is one place which I found it was a refreshing change. In the US and US especially, I found a lot of wastage of electricity. And I think solar power, at least in the part of America where I went to, solar electricity will take a long, long, long time to come there. Europe, on the other hand, is very conscious, especially France. France is and Holland has been. Holland has been for a very, very long time. So yes, this is my impression. Now I don't know how far it's right because I'm not in this field, but this is only my observation of what I see around when I travel.
So just as we cross on the line, one starts to already differentiate how cities differ. Developed, developing, right? And then you also start to think of the rhetorical question. Although we say the costs affiliated with off-grid renewable are high, for these France of today, the Hollands of today, the US of today, for them to get to where they are, you start to wonder, are we capable of taking that time as well to eventually get there? Mm-hmm. That's just some food for thought.
What I feel, because I am generally working in the school segment, right from pre-primary to senior secondary, and generally my work profile involves traveling. And in that traveling aspect, I generally, because I have not been able to get a chance to go abroad, but I have traveled quite a lot within my political boundaries of India. What I have seen is, wherever I go, north, south, east, or west, there is a huge gap between the development or the infrastructural changes between the metros and inside them, like outside the metros. And as far as your consumption of the things are concerned, what I have observed is, like metros, people do not have time. In metros, people do not have time to think more about saving. Whereas, as compared to outside the metros, people do think about saving. Especially villages, what I have found, which are agrarian based or small scale based, or where you have industries, or small scale.
Just pointing out some time back that you can only think of your husband when this topic came up on the board, thinking that, can you teach a dog to meow? So please, I would really like to know as to, how do you think it influences you in your life?
Let me tell you something about myself. I have a very funny story to relate to. We are a family of 3. Me, my husband, and my son. So there are 2 men and 1 single lady in the house.
Likewise. Same.
So, like I'm maybe mom and I have a wife. Right? But they are two men, like-minded,
Okay.
male, and not ready to budge. So when they are not ready to budge, it is a hilarious and momentous task for me to make them budge. Dad नहीं सुनेगा तो बेटा भी नहीं सुनेगा. Dad सुनेगा तो बेटा भी सुनेगा.
Because it takes
To be spick and span, beautiful, laid out and everything. And my husband and my son, they both are most and biggest casual people on the earth. जहाँ बैठेंगे वही खाना खा लेंगे. मैं खाना खा लो, बहुत अच्छी बात है, खाना खाओ, आप have your food there. But then after that what? It's me. मॉम क्या है? वो सब मिलकर खा लेंगे ना, क्या दिक्कत है? अब ये सब आएंगे, क्या दिक्कत है?
So have you started to respect and accept this opposite?
At times it makes me think, why? Why do I have to be over the heads? Why can't I be like that? Why am I forcing?
But it's tough.
Yeah, why can't I be so, if not be so casual, but then why can't I take life in a relaxed manner? Why am I have to tell life, do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that? So, like, somewhere or the other I feel that men and women,
Right.
these are two different opposites, thinking on two different lines, trying to blend with each other, but putting in efforts. One is putting more efforts, other is not at all. They are concerned. They know what I am saying is right. They may accept it, they may not accept it, it's a choice. But for me, I want them to be like me.
That's right. That is where.
And that is the most difficult part for me now. So I have started, after these years, my son is 18 now, and obviously in down the line, I have started to think that I need to relax
That's right.
more than
You
that.
buy a lot of peace for yourself if you start
Yes.
respecting the opposite. Trust me.
Life becomes easy.
Life
Yes.
becomes easy.
Harmonious.
And ऐसा नहीं वो काम नहीं करते घर पे, वो क्लीन नहीं करते, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. My husband is most better and what should I say, positive and more organized than I am. But he says being organized should not require any effort.
That's right.
And stress.
It should be an effortless organization. Then only you can complement your work with others.
That's right.
And what I feel is that if this thing is kept like this, it should be kept like that as well. So he says, stop putting efforts, everything will be organized.
That's right.
So it's all in the mind, it's all in the perception.
Not easy.
It's
not easy.
It's not
but-
easy. But effortless. This is what I learned from my husband. He says, you want to organize your life? Wonderful. Do that. It can be done. Nothing is impossible. Point is how you want to do it. Stop putting, because I have tested and tried. The things which I put in more efforts brings out more stress in me.
That's right.
And the things which I am doing it in an organized manner, relaxed way, cool in mind, planning and preparing, everything goes well. Everybody is happy, even I have a smile on my face, I'm cool, I'm relaxed. So this is how we complement each other, and this is how opposites, attract each other, and opposites, teach each other. My point of view, he is learning. मुझसे कोई भी सामान अगर मैं कहीं रख दूं तो मैं भूल नहीं सकती. अंधेरे में भी कोई चीज मेरे से मांग लेगा ना, मीना वो कहाँ रखा है, I can go to that drawer, open it, pick it up and hand it to him. Best example was, मैं अपनी मदर के यहाँ 10 दिन के लिए गई. पीछे से हस्बैंड और बेटा दोनों कुकिंग अपना कर रहे थे. गरम मसाला खत्म हो गया किचन में. अब मेरे जो गरम मसाले का जो मेन स्टोर है, वो स्टोर 40 की बात थी, लॉक था. और मैं उनको जाते जाते बताना भूल गई कि वो लॉक की चाबी कहाँ रखी है. It slipped because generally I manage. Husband doesn't need to know कि कहाँ क्या रखा है, कैसा रखा है. And I was doing it. He called me up कि मीना चाबी कहाँ है. मैंने कहा देखो वहाँ रखी है. इसे कहाँ रखी है. मैंने कहा देखो आप मोबाइल पर हो, आप उस रूम में जाओ, open the drawer and you will find the key there. And it was there. And this is what he learns from me. He says, और उनको उनका पेपर उनकी खुद की ड्रॉर में नहीं मिला. So, like, this is what feel is that we are born with certain talents, certain things, and certain mindsets. And unless and until we share and learn from each other, we have to be receptive enough.
That's right.
I can't argue, and he can't argue. If we start arguing each other, then we'll have clashes.
Lovely.
So we have to understand each other, respect each other. That's how I have learned in all these. This year I'll be celebrating my 25th year of my marriage in July. And these 25 years have taught us to be more understanding.
Yes, that's what I said, that it's experience.
What we began a journey to what we are now. मीना वो बना लो, वो क्या है? So this is what I feel is that in the family, in the house, we have to understand each other without talking to each other. And that's the best part of this beautiful relationship. So this is how I take it.
Lovely, lovely.
I think one very beautiful thing that Meenaji was said is to learn from the opposite. You know, generally there is a very big blockage of ego which comes in, and that ego can be between the husband and the wife. Then we can label it as ego, and if it's between children and us, then we can say, oh, I'm the mother, I'm the older one, so I have to be always the right one. So that is what comes in between children and us. But the way you accepted that it's in the difference, it's in the opposite that there is a learning. And I think this is a very big healing process for us as well, to wave off that stress. You know, as parent, I always believe, I have always run behind my children to nurture their potential. Never try to identify that potential for them, just nurture it. Because I believe that in this race, it's good to run behind them. Run behind them just till that they finish the line. They cross the finishing line, they reach the finishing line. And then whether they stand on the podium of first, second and third really depends upon their caliber. It does not concern us as well. And this is why I say that we need to raise ourselves first, accept the different, accept, the beyond of thinking opposite, and gracefully accept it. For an example, that when I joined theatre 2 years back, my family questioned me that, "Tum to anyway itna nautanki karti ho in the house, what is the point of joining theatre?" So they were probably not ready, not that they were like totally against it, but in a very funny way they said that probably it was a little big for them to accept the difference, that तुम तो anyway इतनी बड़ी नौटंकी हो घर में सारा दिन you do, so what's the point of joining theatre? So I just tell them that यहाँ तालियां नहीं बजती ना, वहाँ तालियां बजेगी. So I actually told them this, कि यहाँ तो तालियां नहीं बजती, all your appreciations, all your questions, all your acceptances, it's not even her to. Mama, you don't know anything. Mama, you don't know what's a swag. Or okay, fine, tell me what's a swag. So what if I'm just 42? I can know what's a swag. I mean, like it's not that I'm dead. It's not that I'm a corpse. I'm 42, but I can also know what's a swag. Okay, Mama, Facebook आपके generation के लोग करते हैं, हम लोग तो Snapchat करते हैं. Okay, I'm ready to accept that opposite, that think opposite. Tell me what's a Snapchat. But then, see, this is where I have really grown over the years, where I have accepted them questioning me reaching somewhere. Like, I don't draw a line that, okay, this is it. I am 42. I'm doing event management, and I'm doing soft skill training, and I run an NGO along with someone, and that's about it. I have not put a full stop. I have... that was one more reason for me to come to this forum, was because I've always believed that thinking opposite adds to growth. And I would find a lot of women here who actually think opposite. And that would encourage me, even if I don't make a networking connection with them to grow in business, at least I will grow inside. And that was one of my main reasons to come to this topic. And I should say these few lines, which was coming in my mind. Do you think it's all right if I use you or your brother or Papa in my speech? Because I like the speeches to be realistic and it's not like A to Z kind of a speech. So can I use it? So she said, no, first give me a rehearsal. Tell me what you want to do. Because I said, all right, this is also thinking opposite. Now my 13-year-old is going to put a tick mark there whether I can speak. All right, let me do this. So whatever was coming into my mind, I was just telling in front of her, blah, blah, blah. And then I got quiet. She said, "Tum jaake mera naam roshan karogi." That is what she told me. And she's 13 years old. So I guess over the years, it's my inner growth, which has added a lot of peace in my life. Just the way, as you said, that इशारों से ही your husband explains to you और आप समझ जाते हो कि आपको क्या करना है. My husband has not reached that stage. I have to get him there, by the way. It's a good pointer that you've given me. That इशारों से मुझे समझाना होगा उनको कि अच्छा मुझे ये चाहिए और ये नहीं चाहिए. And I have big eyes, so I'll manage doing that somewhere or the other because of my theatre knowledge as well. But I guess he also has started to nurture a lot of respect towards me, which I have realized now over the years. It's okay to love somebody, it's okay to accept somebody, but to respect is big asking, especially in our kind of society. And my acceptance of the opposite, the way he is or the scenario is, has given rise to a lot of respect between him and me. And because that comes to me from him, that is indirectly influencing my children, my work, my family, my inner circle of friends. So definitely, I always believe that it is important to be with the different souls around you in order to grow. And just like when Meeraji was saying that respect हमें बहुत मिलता है when we accept the opposite. And my dear lady here said it's not very easy. It's not easy when you actually go through this process. Would you like to just highlight a little bit as to why it is not easy? Why do you think it is so difficult to accept anyone who is so different than you?
आप कुछ बोलना चाहोगे? No? Something? Charu, you must say something.
I've been married 58 years.
58 years?
So, like you have.
Yeah, please. Your experience is really going to get me that ishara wala thing, which I really want to get to.
I think it's the teaching or upbringing that helped you to do all that.
Definitely.
Right? And then my teaching and upbringing has helped me to adjust, to accept and not to accept.
That's a beautiful thought, that the teachings get to you. Would you agree if I say that the addition of so much of modern education that has come in has also influenced somewhere where now the generation which is coming along is not in that mind frame to actually accept that much of opposite in their life, because so many marriages we see are being broken, or so many issues happening even at workplaces. And I think that is also because the education nowadays is very misinterpreted. The modern education is again very misinterpreted here, where the opposites is not relatively accepted the way it should be. So I would just like to end this session by saying that I have a long way to go in yet accepting the opposites in my life. And with the reality check which I got over the years of respecting, understanding, giving in to a change which I can relate to in the person in front of me, has made me into a better person. And maybe if we just do this one exercise of telling ourselves each day that it is okay that she is different or my husband is different, and we take a minute to just be subtle and think about it and then react to it, would give us a better peace of mind. Thank you.
I would like to add something.
Yeah, please.
If I may.
See, we as human beings, we as persons, we as individuals, we as identity, we as caregivers, we are caretakers, we have different roles to play. And when we have different roles to play, we have different responsibilities along with the roles which are coming up. And in the process of fulfilling those responsibilities, what happens is we start developing our certain ideologies. And these ideologies either make us strong or either make us weak.
It's like the make us or break us kind of phenomenon.
So these ideologies, when we are making them or framing them or believing them, or when we are passing it on, we should think that who is the other person in front of us.
Definitely.
That's more important. Because either we are talking to a stranger, we are talking to a relative, we are talking to a friend, we are talking to anybody whomsoever we know, we are talking to a maid, we are talking to anybody outside, we are talking to a dhobi, we are talking to anybody. Our tone, method, manner, body language, everything changes. And in the process, what happens is our ideologies, if they are strong enough, it makes us humble.
Definitely.
If they are weak enough, it makes us different.
That is what you said, that the upbringing really makes a difference.
And as parents, what I feel is this is what should be taught to our children. How to make and create those ideologies in life which can make them strong, which can evolve, which can make them weak as well. Both aspects, positive and negative, should be passed on to our children. So that when they are decision makers in their lives, we can't be with them every time. My mother cannot be with me now. I have to decide for myself. Similarly, I cannot be with my children every time. We have to leave them to decide for themselves. So whether they are whomsoever they are with, how will they behave and how will they react, at least that kind of upbringing we have to conclude and adopt and pass on as parents, because they are observing us.
Yes, they are, that is what exactly I was about to say.
Yeah, they
the children are like
observing
monkeys, They are all the time observing.
They are observing us, and they are observing and imbibing the ideologies with which we are
so their surroundings
behaving
in, very positive. Yeah.
So these are the surroundings, because what happens is the mothers, especially the females, because the structure, wherever you go, the family structure is like the man provides a roof and the lady creates a home.
No, that's the reason I
And
said,
both,
that you should always raise yourself.
And they both, man and woman, they both make a family. So when the question of the family comes, ideologies automatically come.
But how many people realize it?
Yes. I totally agree with you.
No one realizes it.
No one realizes this. Because, now what is happening is women have started saying, I'm sorry to say, we all are women. We all believe in that I am also a creator. I can also provide a roof to my family.
True.
Good. We are changing our roles. We are positive enough. But we should not, in the process of growing and coming out of our homes, in the process we should not forget that we have children with us. They may be proud of us. They may support us. They may help us. But in the end, we are framing their ideologies. So whether it is a boy or it is a girl, we have to make them understand who they are. That is more important.
Can I just
Who
say,
am I? They need to understand.
Here I would like to say that we need to be role models now.
Yes.
Because we all are venturing out of our homes. We are not with our children all the time.
That's right.
But you must not forget the fact that all the time they are observing you whenever you are.
So I would just like to add to that, because of me being involved in the culinary skills, I teach a lot of culinary cuisine and I'm into event management and so many things going around me. Directly or indirectly, my daughter and my son are very subtly influenced by it, and I was so surprised when my son said that I want to join IIHM, and that gave me a shock. I said, IIHM, you want to join IIHM, hotel management? He said, yes, because somewhere he's been seeing me down the years, into event planning and culinary workshops and teaching children and women and clubs, etc. So he has developed that skill towards, IIHM. And what they've learned from me, very subtly, I'm surprised, is time management. The way I handle my time, I handle my priorities. That's the reason I said that it is very important to create that subtle ambience around yourself so that the children are receptive to the opposite thinking in me and I'm receptive to the opposite thinking in them, instead of creating that vacuum. We accept one day we will tell our son, oh, don't smoke, smoking is bad. That one day he would not listen to us, but for that we need to build that influence, that subtle ambience right from the beginning, and that can only happen if we raise ourselves by understanding that we are opposite, they are opposite, but we need to bridge this gap by actually accepting the way they are, by giving them that space, at the same time drawing a very thin line for them to understand what is wrong is wrong. Like I always tell my children कि बदतमीजी और बदमाशी में बहुत फर्क होता है. It is okay to be बदमाश, but it is not good to be a बदतमीज. So बदमाशी करो, बदतमीज मत बनो. So that is what I always tell my children. So thank you so much for this beautiful session.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. That was nice. And though she focused more on family, these things, but thinking opposite comes in the professional, in the careers, whenever you venture out of the house. And the best part is you can think opposite, but why don't you? The success is on synergizing the qualities and all. Right. So it's can a cat teach a dog to meow? Yes, but whether the dog will learn or not depends on the dog.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Anybody who would like to? Would you like to say something?
Highlight something or anything?
Anything on the topic which you've come across in your life where you feel that you've met with an opposite, something opposite, be it relation.
Yeah, I think there are many.
That's and how do you think you deal with that? Do you make peace with that?
Yeah,
do you react differently to that?
Now it is the time that I try to think beyond now what to be done.
Right.
It's not getting panicky.
So you start thinking about the solution.
Yeah. How to get out of it? How to find a solution peacefully? Because things are not in our hand. We can just try our best.
And do you think that has come like a graph through experience?
Yes, definitely.
Exactly, I think. Because initially when, if you talk about marriage, when you get married, you are totally opposite.
That's what I was just telling you.
And everything,
Yes.
But
for a woman, it is always a challenge every day. That when you get up, from home to the work, every time, every hour is a new challenge. I was there sitting in a meeting in early morning, 8 o'clock for my daughter's school, and a situation again popped up, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "This is a situation which has popped up right now. I have to answer it right away."
Right.
So now the thing is that we can't just get panicky or we can't just run away from the situation.
Right.
One has to face the situation. It is up to you that you take it calmly or how hyper you become.
So it's like you make peace with it, you accept it, you befriend it, and then you take it up.
See, initially, when I was just talking about the marriage, when it comes, in a women's life, it is a lot of difference, in terms of spouse and you. And you are totally different individual, brought up in different environment, but you come together.
That's right.
But gone are the days when the girl only had to, adjust, But nowadays, I think men are equally adjusting.
But I was just saying that there are problems more which are comprising these days. Probably it is because everyone wants that equality.
So initially there used to be so much of fight like byway,
right.
Or highway, But now I think over a period of time, after so many years living together, we have learned the art of.
That is also true. That is also
what?
true. She said a very important topic, a very important sentence.
Parents give a bad upbringing.
That's
all
correct.
parents give the best upbringing in their
Perspective.
viewpoint. Absolutely, the children are more impressed by their peers as they grow, and then secondly, they also build up their own opinions.
Yes, that's correct.
The question is good, bad, yes, no, whatever. Every parent likes the child to be the best.
That's right.
Be most truthful, be most honest. You look at any criteria.
That's right.
You'll want your child to do that. But you still have the bad.
So
what
every parent wants the children to bring up the best possible way. But at the same time, conflict comes because at times we as a parent don't realize that what is affecting the child.
That's right.
Child is a mute spectator to everything. Whether we are talking to a maid or whether we are talking to a worker in our office, whether we are talking to each other. So every single thing affects
They are like
the child.
a default audience. They are always there.
They absorb everything around them.
So it is not only the peer group, they watch at home also.
I agree with you. But what happens is what they absorb subconsciously, then they also decipher it into different groups.
Right.
So when you are saying, I would differ over here between a daughter and a boy or a girl or whatever.
Right.
Women have been empowered and they're continuing to be empowered.
That's right.
And we are feminists, right? And you did bring it out that these days there are more problems than what they were earlier.
Exactly.
And believe you me, they are going to be on the increase.
Right. And what do you think you would sum up this issue to?
I'll tell you why. Because in our haste or need for women empowerment, we are leaving behind the adjustment empowerment.
That's right. So the adjustment is going here and there.
You see, you need to have an adjustment.
Right.
Your parents are not going to be with you forever.
Right.
And there is nothing right, there is nothing wrong. There is something called grey also.
So is it like they used to say that पहले शादियाँ ज़्यादा निपटी थी अब शादियाँ कम निपटी है because पहले adjustment शायद बेसी था अब adjustment कम है.
Because the women are working, they also have that kind of a confidence why we should. Earlier it was the man was the bread earner and the woman was the home.
I would still say that even if you are working, you need to have mutual respect.
That's right. That respect has to be there.
That mutual respect has to be there.
Right.
You may be earning more than your man.
Right.
But money cannot buy you happiness at the end of the day. So you need to have it in your mind. These are my priorities. These are his priorities. Where do we do? That's simple. Nobody can give us a solution.
Something like what Meena ji said, that you have to not forget that most of the discipline comes from you. So what if you're earning the bread and the butter, but the man provides the roof and the woman provides the ground, So that is very, very
Even a woman can provide the bread. That's not an issue.
Yeah, that's not.
Decide amongst both of you.
That's
without
right.
outside influence.
That's correct. That's beautifully put in. That somewhat summarizes what you said in such a way. Can we have a group picture, everyone, please?
I was going to say there, but then you said if they want to give anything, so that's why.
Click one. इसमें
ये फोटो कैसे मिली?
It's grouping.
Let's click one.
WhatsApp पे भी नहीं देखी मैंने Facebook पे भी देखी.
भैया ये फोटो कैसे मिली?
सबको
Facebook पे देखी.
कहाँ मिलेगी पिक्चर?
फेसबुक पे कहाँ मिल रही? कहीं नहीं, सारे नहीं डाल रहे.
फेसबुक पे
आगे तुम हमें दे दो भाई.
और क्या?
Wait. Just wait.
ये आप इससे तो खींच दो फोन से.
हाँ खींच दी मैंने.
इससे खींच दी. अच्छा.
Yeah, I'll just put it. I will just WhatsApp.
You WhatsApp to Meera ji and Meera ji will WhatsApp to our group.
More than your man.
Right.
But money cannot buy you happiness
That's
at the end of the day. So you need to have it in your mind. These are my priorities. These are his priorities. Where do we do? That's simple. Nobody can give us a solution.
Something like what Meena ji said, that you have to not forget that most.
Okay.
workshops. I work individually as well with the corporate schools.